Joining me in the studio is a lawyer and public affairs analyst, Fred Nzeako. Fred, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Great,
too.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
And we have on Zoom the head of Department, Political Science and Administration, Yobe State University, Dr. Ali Abbas. Dr. Abbas, it's good to have you join me this morning. Okay, we'll have him as we get along. Now, Fred, let's start from the studio.
Yes.
If you look at Nigeria, from the amalgamation, some things naturally, gravitated towards how we were at that time, North and South coming together.
Yes.
And then when it comes to political lining, we also have the North and we have the South. And then eventually when we had the geopolitical zones, 3 zones in the North, 3 zones in the South,
yes.
and then, all of those things began to shape our political culture and all of that. Now, but talk to us. Nigerians have often talked about the issue of good governance. Why is rotational presidency a big deal?
Why is it a big deal? Because in democracy, you don't have to leave out some people. Everybody should be part and parcel of it. The histrionics of Nigeria, you have mentioned, started from the issue of North and South. And then with the amalgamation of 1914, it has always remained the issue of North and South. But over 100 years after 1914, we're looking at 109 years or thereabout, we are still talking North and South. That simply means that Nigeria has not fused. That fusion expected between the North and South has not happened. You have the penal code in the North. You have the criminal code in the South. So even our laws have tolerated that dichotomy. Yes, we have a constitution that is observed more in breach, that is not a people's constitution, because the contents of the constitution have not allowed that fusion. It used to be the issue of tribe, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, and other ethnic nationalities. Over 300 of them speaking over 350 languages across the country. In the wisdom, God-given wisdom of late His Excellency Alex Ekweme, he brought out the idea of geopolitical zoning so that we'll be able to kill the tribal sentiments that we always had. And that was the magic. We now have 6 geopolitical zones. It still followed the pattern of North and South. 3 in the North, 3 in the South, even though Southeast was cheated with only 5 states instead of 6. But that is a story for another day. We have continued to ask Nigerians, why don't we go back to that trajectory that brought development to this country? If we cannot go back to it, why don't we make use of what we have currently, the 6 geopolitical zones, whereby they become administrative zones, in which case, instead of 36 states, let us have 6 states, and Nigeria will work, because not only will it have economic revamping of the system, it will also have social and political effect. That's also a story for another day. As we speak, we are talking about balancing of power between North and South. Nigerians ordinarily would not have worried about who becomes the president. But because of the pseudo-quasi-federal system that we operate, power is still heavily laden at the center. The president, the chief executive, the commander-in-chief is still very, very strong. Look at what happened in APC's convention. One stroke of pronouncement, there was no election. People were handpicked. They call it consensus. So many people were not happy about it because they had their vision about who they wanted to lead the political parties, but their visions were cut short. In PDP, there was also consensus. There was no election. So Nigerians are beginning to get worried that this spate of consensus political system that does not allow people to decide their leadership, what it simply means is that the alter ego, now who is the commander-in-chief, now commands what will happen even down to the foot of the country. Mike, I can tell you that this agitation that you see is not for nothing. People do not have confidence that their voices and their thumbs will count in 2023 because of the template that we have seen in the two main political parties where you talk about consensus. They slotted it in. It was a battle, but at the end of the day, they had their way. In 2023, we have almost 1 year between now and the end of this regime. And by the Electoral Act of 2022, party primaries will hold in this May. None will exceed June. What it means is that between now and the election in March and February next year, government is still strongly in power. That same CNC who calls the shot in all ramifications will say call the shot. People are agitating because they don't have confidence that power will rotate to the south. And that is the essence of this agitation. And I can tell you, as an analyst who has looked through the crystal ball of my private and personal understanding of this country, power is not coming to the south.
Power is not coming to the south.
Power is not coming to the south, Mike. Quote me today. And I'll tell you why. That CNC, that alter ego, who commands all the powers, is a very nepotistic personality who wants everything remaining in the north. He cannot see himself handing over to a southerner. Mike, mark my words today. He cannot see himself handing over to a southerner because a man does not do what aches him. He cannot sleep if he does that.
Yeah, but he knows the makeup, the political makeup of Nigeria.
Yes.
The point there is, he is someone who has a lot of friends and a lot of, in fact, his coming to power in 2015 was greatly and largely by the support of all Nigerians from the north and from the south, and he knows that.
And he knows that in appointments, we have federal character principle enshrined in our constitution and respected over the years, at least since 1979. In his appointments, what happened? Everything north.
Yeah, but the point there is...
And when I say everything, I mean all cognate, all serious appointments north. And the most serious ones are the security agencies, all north. Despite the hue and cry, did he budge? Did he listen to anybody? Did he remember that the southerners also voted for him?
Anyway, but...
And we have continued to shout for the past 7 years. And you think that same CNC, who has been given such power and who is utilizing it mercilessly, you think he will budge at the last minute?
But however, the Constitution... but the Constitution gives him the power or the prerogative to appoint whomever he wants to appoint.
The same constitution says recognize the federal character principle.
Okay, let's bring in Dr. Ali Abbas here. He is the head of department of the political science and admin at the Yobe State University in Damaturu. Dr. Abbas, it's good to have you join me this morning.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Barrister. Thank you, all Nigerians.
Great. Now, we're talking about rotational presidency and the way it is. A lot of Nigerians are asking questions, but other analysts will say, should it not be a given, you know, from how we have metamorphosed up until now, should it not be a given that if power moves somewhere, after a little while it moves the other way and all of that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. First, thank you, Nigerians. Let me, before I start saying anything, let me enjoin Barrister who is in the studio to please calm down as a colleague from the northern part of Nigeria. I want to assure him that Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari is not an emperor, and he does not have the total vote of all Nigerians to decide who becomes the next president of Nigeria. What I want to assure you is that Nigerians have their voters' card. They have the right to vote whosoever they wishes to vote come 2023. And the president does not in any way has power to stop when such will have to emerge. And let me come back to your question, Mike. First, let us understand this dynamics of Nigerian politics. Recall in 2010, 2011, when we had the issues of late President Yar'Adua, the emergence of President Goodluck Jonathan, the 2011 election and the rest. All this, the record is there, the history is there. I must say, it is always convenient for Nigerian politicians to say there will be rotational presidency today, and some will also argue to say we don't need rotational presidency today. This is all a political convenience of the Nigerian political elite. Let me also put it that what is happening today is not a consensus of all Nigerians. It's basically a consensus of the Nigerian political elite who will sit down in one corner of any bedroom to decide who becomes the next president of Nigeria. I can assure you that if we throw this challenge to the Nigerian public today, most Nigerians do not even bother who becomes the next president, whether this person is from the south or from the north. If the ordinary Nigerians are getting the services they require, that they need in all our localities and our communities, I don't think most of our politicians will not be talking about these issues of where the president comes from. Now, what is more important now is PDP as a political party has over the years produced two southern presidents who have steered the ship of this country for at least for the past 16 years. I think out of that 16 years, 14 years, we have two southern presidents who have utilized this period. Only, I think, 2 years of late President Umar Musa Yar'Adua. The APC has produced President Muhammadu Buhari, who is its first president. He has, in the 2023, he will serve his 8 years. Now, what does this tell you? It means each political party is at liberty to choose who becomes its next flag bearer. I will say, in the sense of fairness and justice and equity, the president from the APC, should the APC produce the president from the southern part of Nigeria? If the Nigerian wishes to have the southern person from APC as the president of Nigeria, let Nigerians decide. If the PDP so wishes to go with its own earlier arrangement that the PDP should produce the next presidential candidate from the north, if Nigerians so decide, they should choose the PDP candidate to emerge as the next president of Nigeria. This is not even the argument. The argument is that what candidate are we producing today in these political parties? Are we producing these candidates based on their competence, based on their character, based on their services they're going to provide to this country? Or are we simply going to select or elect any president based on the creed or based on the what part of Nigeria he comes from? I think it is high time that Nigerians begin to think about what are these people going to provide to the Nigerian citizenry rather than where they come from. I understand there are many issues and challenges with regards to where the president comes from. But I can assure you, when we have leaders, politicians that are really going to work for the Nigerian public, Nigerians will no longer be interested on where the president comes from. This, I believe, should be our next focus in 2023 election and beyond, to begin to choose candidates based on their competence, based on their capacity, based on what they can deliver to Nigerians, rather than where or when or how they are going to deliver because they are coming from Hausa or Fulani or Yoruba. If we begin to discuss this, then we will begin to look at the other minority nationalities. How many of them have been given the opportunity to serve as the president of this country? Is it that Nigeria only belongs to Hausa or Fulani or Igbo or Yoruba? What about other minor ethnic nationalities that we have all over across Nigeria? Do they not have the right? Are they not given the opportunity to serve this country? So, as a young political scientist, as a young politician, I am looking forward to a situation where Nigerians will begin to look at the competence, the capacity, the historical records of these candidates, and to be able to choose who we think should be able to deliver on the mandate that all Nigerians will be proud of to serve as the president of the country, and everyone will be served properly. When we have this situation, I think that will be the only time that we begin to discuss Nigeria of our dream. If not, we will always be discussing Nigeria from the south, Nigerians from the east. I don't really think we are not serious about this, making this country a better place if we continue discussing this issue.
Okay, all right. Now that scenario is what every Nigerian would like to see, because that is what we see and make reference to in the West, where it doesn't matter where the president comes from and all of that. Now in Nigeria, the point there is, even in the debate of the North, the South, the East, the West, and all of that, let's check the states that have produced presidents in the past. From Kano State, where Abacha came from Bauchi State, where Tafawa Balewa came from Niger State, where we have Abdulsalam Abubakar and Ibrahim Babangida, from Katsina State, Yaradua and current president, from Ogun State, where we had the Obasanjo, and even the Shoneko, you know, and then Anambra State that had Azikiwe. So if you check, and then Plateau State that had go on, if you check all of these states, how well off are they because the head of state or the president came from there? But let's come back to the issue of the PDP and APC. Yes. Now it looks like both of them are watching each other. Who will make that move so that we see and then we know how to outsmart, as the case may be, concerning the issue of rotational presidency? Because it looks like both of them are holding their cards to their chest and watching and waiting for the other person to make the move.
Absolutely, Mike. It's just like when you are playing a tournament, and then in order to ensure that there is no cheating or what you call in football, this arrangement, you play
match fixing.
Yes. Not to ensure there is no match fixing. You play the crucial ones the same day. I tell you that APC and PDP conventions will take place almost simultaneously, almost the same day. So the results will be released almost immediately, because, like you said, they are all playing their cards very close to their chests. And why is that so? Simply because the Nigerian electorates are essentially illiterate, essentially ignorant of what they should do. And it is even getting worse because of the increasing number of out-of-school children that is the highest in the world. Nigeria has the highest number of out-of-school children in the entire world.
With over 10 million of them.
With over 10 million children. Now, with the insecurity that has not allowed people to go to school all over the country, it is also now increasing the number in geometric proportion. At the end of the day, when election time comes, everybody, politicians will come close, encourage people, get to a PVC, go and vote, and they will even induce them with money at the point of voting, so that if you don't vote, you don't get the money. And because there is hunger and poverty in the land,
people become desperate.
People become desperate and they troop out to go and vote. Not because a lot of them don't even know what they are doing. Now the politicians are supposed, the political parties are supposed to enlighten the citizenry. What level of enlightenment are they giving them? Look at the number of people that are coming out to jostle for the position of the president. It has never happened like this in Nigerian history. As of today, almost 30 people or more want to become president, paying huge amount of money to do
buy
so,
forms.
to buy forms and express their interest. It should worry every Nigerian, the way and the direction things are going.
All right. I'm sorry we don't have all the time right now, but let's just take a minute from Dr. Abbas in Damaturu. Dr. Abbas, the point there is, when we're building our political culture gradually, because for every election that comes, it shapes the way we think, and the way we think shapes the way we act, and the way we act become precedences, and it goes on that way. If we have to get it right towards the scenario you painted earlier, talking about it shouldn't matter, we get to the level where it shouldn't matter where the president comes from, or whoever, even at the state level and all of that. What steps should it be, deliberate steps should it be taking right now to be able to build that and then get into that realm of good governance being the focus instead of where the president comes from?
Well, I think the elites, which I basically describe as the elite consensus, as most political scientists will say, will have to come to terms and agree that if really Nigeria will have to move forward from where we are, the elites who normally sit down and decide who becomes the flag bearers of most of these major political parties, either PDP or APC, will have to agree on this. Unless and until the Nigerian elites agree on a consensus, most political parties will continue to produce these candidates based on sentiments and what have you. I am from the North. I will tell you personally, I will be more than glad to have either from APC or from PDP from the southern part of Nigeria. This boils down to fairness, boils down to equity, boils down to justice, if really we are to work as a serious country. But I must also tell you that these political parties will have to begin to sell their candidates based on their competence, based on their credibility, based on what record they have put in place in the previous places they have hold sway over the years. Now, the major issue now, Mike, is the
yes,
the Nigerian elites will have to agree to jettison this issue of rotational presidency if we are to really move forward. And the best way to do that is both political parties, APC, PDP, and the rest, should produce the best candidates, the best sellable candidates. Let Nigerians choose who becomes the next president, irrespective of where that person comes from.
All right. Dr. Ali Abbas, Head of Department, Political Science and Administration, Yobe State University, thank you very much for talking to us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Fred Nzako, thank you very much for coming as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And before I sign off, only education will liberate Nigeria, not elite consensus. If I had time, I would have engaged Dr. Abbas on this. Not elite consensus, only education, massive education.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that point.